This would have been the place to bring my tripod, huh? Anyway, I'm taking a little break at 11,000 feet. Short, steep hike up, and another longer, slightly steeper hike down. What I'm contemplating right now is the mixture, dynamic mixture of an artist's life, which is, for me, I want to say that I'm discovering for me that it's finding some place that I can kind of live with minimal distractions, good nutrition, good outdoor movement opportunities, some good community around creativity and consciousness mainly, and continue to document my life in art, because that's what I really realize my art is for, is having some way on a semi-daily, mostly daily basis. And it's daily for me, it's just not every medium every day. So I have writing, typing on the typewriter, stitching, drawing, collage, bookmaking, and then I think that's it. Oh, and then my Hobonichi page a day. So I have all these different ways to record something that about my process that day that can be recorded in that form. And those add up to my art practice. And then I want to try to start working again towards these series or bodies of work like the Badass Women Portraits series and project, which was my only really complete example of all of the things around one project, which is a daily finished artwork, which is pretty amazing. I did a daily portrait of these women, and that was finished artwork to be hung, so it was like mounted. And then the documenting of the process, the creation of a book of the photographs of the works. I didn't create prints of all the works. And then the workshop, and then the gallery show with the sale. So selling books, selling originals, selling seats in the workshop. I did try to create some products out of some of the images on Society 6, which could be another outlet depending on the type of image. I think for that series that was a good idea to try to print some pillows and things. Didn't really fully go through it because I was still learning about the quality of the photos that I needed for all those different formats. And I was burnt out because I was trying to do it all in 2 months. I was trying to just do it all, and I didn't realize I could even go back right now, especially with what's going on politically, and sell those again. The books, I know the books have a universal appeal to women right now, and to expand it and to keep going with more women, and now understanding what the color saturation needs to be for different products, prints, and objects. That could be something. But a body of work hasn't happened where I'm staying right now in Santa Fe, just because of the space isn't conducive to making larger things. I started making some larger pieces of paper with ink lettering, which I love, and I noticed that the response to those by people is universally yep, love it. I think I could sell those, but they're each so big. They're each 20 by 24 at least, that there's just nowhere to put them and also have workspace and also have place to have my materials in that living space. And it's on the dining table. So these are all things I'm learning about what the life is. But the life is like, there's baseline living. No matter what you're doing, you've got to live, you've got to eat, you've got to have a space that you maintain somehow, whether that's indoor, outdoor, both, or mechanical if you're living in a van. And then there's the making, daily making. Then there's like bodies of work that become bigger products maybe. And then along those lines, like something like a deck of cards that's like maybe a multi-year project to create that one product. Then for me, there's the facilitating of experiences. And so then there's the selling of those products. So how do you let people know that those exist? How do you pre-sell to get them funded and then have an inventory and take care of fulfillment, whether that's shipping, delivery, or pickup, or physically going to marketplaces to sell them, and those are all possible, or placing them in different retail outlets that are not your own. So there's that's the distribution part. And then for me, there's a facilitating experiences part, which could be teaching a class, it could be having a travel workshop, it could be coaching, creativity, could be a group of some kind. And I would love to do all that. I mean, that sounds like a life that I could do. It's just, where do I start? I mean, I've started with knowing a little bit more about how to live, how I want to live, and then doing the daily practice. But then it's really like these other pieces that I really need to work on and feel like, I think if I focus on it, I can feel less afraid of, if I work on one of these things, that I'm going to lose my art practice, which is always my fear when I pivot to something else. As soon as I started grad school, I was like so afraid that I was going to lose my art practice. I really, if you look at my Hobonichi from the years I was in grad school, it's amazing, those pages, because I was pouring every ounce of my few minutes of free headspace every day onto those pages and really kind of trying to experience all that texture. There was actually a lot of energy in having that focus, where maybe it was only that one thing I got to do every day. So those pages are incredible, actually. And maybe there's something to be said for having constraints. And so I think if I give myself the focus, and I have several examples now of what a series might look like, based on different artists. A series could be, what I'm working on with the book project, with the Sabrina Harrison approach, where you start to think of the work that you have and the work that you keep generating, and how do you collect it into a book. And that's more retrospective, which works better for me because I tend to just do whatever I'm doing, and then it's harder for me to tell myself, okay, now I'm going to do this for the next X number of days. So there's collecting things for a book, and then there's this idea of like a card deck or some kind of a series. Like I'm really playing with this idea of what are my personal symbols or icons that I would like to paint or draw or collage or make images of over and over again in a grid, and then kind of make a quilt of those images. I like that idea a lot. And so I've been asking myself, by just drawing a bunch of grids the last day or so, and I'm going to keep doing this. I did one just now, sitting here. What are my personal icons? I definitely think that, like, the tomato, the heart, the eye and the heart, the hand, the spiral, these are all things that I keep drawing over and over again. There's also kind of the river, the mountain, the tree, the leaf, those symbols of nature. and the vessel, which is sort of either my teacup with the narrow base on it, or the kind of rounded bottom fishbowl type of vessel. But the vessel is some kind of vessel, or the picture that I draw sometimes, the vessel. And then there's some kind of animal, like a cow, some kind of a four-legged animal with like a snout and some sort of horns and ears. I definitely love cows. Maybe it's a goat. But there's an animal in there too. And the one that I want to steal from this artist that I saw, but I don't know what it is for me, is some piece of clothing. Like for her, it was the dress. And she had this beautiful series of dresses. The other thing I loved from this artist was a face. So faces are another one. Like my blind contour self-portraits, and also my drawing is free portrait practice. I just love. I love the face as a kind of a loose folk face drawing. So this woman had these dream images where she had her face with whatever the dream image is sort of up in this area above and on the head of this figure. And I loved those. It would be like her dream, whatever animal came to her would be here, and then it would be her face. And it would be almost the entire frame of the painting. So that was really inspiring to see these oil paintings with oil crayon drawings on them with folk type images of these personal icons. And it made me just want to understand what the version of that would be for me, starting with what are my personal icons? And then, are there any cultural symbols? When I think of like the symbols that the Taiwanese illustrators use of like icons of Taiwan, which are all food, what are my personal cultural icons? And that's a really good question. Just, can I even identify those? Because they're always sort of like co-opted by whatever other culture that I'm in. So it's kind of weird for me, that whole idea. So, which makes it autobiographical. The fact that it's weird. So I'm going to get up soon and start heading down. I hear a group behind me that's coming up, but this mixture of the artist's life is what I'm contemplating. And got to get back to the food that's in my car in a cooler from the farmer's market. And get down this mountain for the rest of the day.